You know, every once in a while, someone comes along who just seems to operate on a completely different timeline. I'm talking about people like Steve Jobs, or even Leonardo da Vinci, the kinds of minds that Walter Isaacson wrote those incredible biographies about, showing how their personal stories literally shaped our future. Well, today, we're doing our own version of that. We're going to dive deep into the life and ideas of a modern-day architect of tomorrow, Senior Professor Rick McCawley.
Seriously, think about that question for a second. How do you plan for 2165? Most of us have trouble planning for next month, let alone more than a century from now. But this exact question, this is the engine that drives his entire life's work. It's not really about predicting the future. It's about taking responsibility for it. And the secret to doing that, well, it comes from some very old wisdom.
For Rick McCawley, this incredible insight from the Haudenosaunee Confederacy isn't just some dusty historical quote. Nope, it's his operating manual. It is the moral and ethical bedrock for everything he does, everything he teaches, and everything he creates.
So let's properly introduce the man who's made this his life's mission. Professor Rick McCawley is this amazing mix of a historian and a futurist. He's a Pulitzer Prize-winning photojournalist who became a professor and a pioneer in AI education. And he argues that this ancient principle, it might just be the most important idea for our world right now.
Just try to wrap your head around that timescale. We're talking about 140 years from now. It forces you to think way beyond the next quarterly report or the next election cycle. It makes you ask a really tough question. Are the things I'm building today going to be a gift or a burden from my great-great-great-great-grandchildren? It's a total radical shift in how you see the world. But why? To really understand why someone would dedicate their life to a vision that big, you have to dig a little deeper. You have to understand where they came from. So who is Rick McCawley? What shaped him? Okay, so his resume is pretty staggering. This is not some academic locked away in an ivory tower. This is a guy who's been on the front lines of history, covering everything from riots to the very first space shuttle launch. He was even part of the team that won a Pulitzer for their coverage of Hurricane Andrew. So his ideas aren't just theories. They were forged in the real world, where he saw the absolute worst of human tragedy and the incredible heights of our achievements.
But the real fuel for his fire, the real source of his drive, it goes way deeper than his career. To really get it, we have to go back, all the way back, to this profound sense of duty that he was basically born into.
In his family, service wasn't just a job. It was just what you did. It was a way of life. His grandfather was a World War I vet. His uncle Benjamin, a brilliant scholar from Harvard, was killed in the last days of World War II and earned a Purple Heart. And his own father, James, served in the Korean War. I mean, this is a bloodline that is just steeped in sacrifice and a sense of duty. Just this one question tells you everything you need to know about how he grew up. Can you imagine being 10 years old, and instead of, "How was school?" your dad asks you, "What did you do for your country today?" That question became his internal compass, his North Star for the rest of his life. And as he got older, he took that very personal question from his father, and he just blew it wide open. It grew from "What did you do for your country?" into something much, much bigger. What did you do for the world today? It became a call to be a citizen of the entire planet.
And this is the powerful idea at the heart of it all. We live in a world that is constantly screaming about rights and what we're entitled to. But Macawley's philosophy is built on the complete opposite foundation. The idea that we don't show up here deserving a bunch of stuff. We show up with a profound obligation, a debt to the people who came before us that we have to pay forward to the people who come after.
So how do you take that deep, personal sense of responsibility and turn it into a call to action for everybody? Well, it becomes a kind of manifesto, a manifesto for a new kind of troublemaker, for who he calls the dangerous ones. Now hold on, this isn't about being dangerous in a bad way. It's about being dangerous to the status quo, dangerous to the idea that we can't do better, dangerous to apathy. It's about being willing to cause what the great John Lewis called good trouble to fix the broken systems that hold us all back. It all starts right here, with a simple shift in how you think. It's about fundamentally refusing to accept that the way things are is the way they have to be. It's that same exact spirit that drove every great innovator in history to look at the world and ask, but what if? And then it's about bringing in that 7-generation mindset we talked about. It's about consciously choosing to care more about the long-term health of our descendants than the short-term gains that our world is so obsessed with. And this might be the most important of all. It's about collective action. It is the crucial shift from thinking about me to thinking about we.
It's recognizing that we are all in this together, and we share the responsibility for the world we are building.
McCawley says that right now, humanity is at a massive crossroads, especially with technologies like AI. One path leads to what he calls the extraction economy, where tech is just used to squeeze value out of us for short-term profit. But the other path, he calls that a machine of loving grace, a future where AI serves humanity, where it helps us tackle huge problems like climate change and disease, while we get to be the creative and moral directors of our own world.
And this is his challenge to every single one of us. He takes that iconic line from JFK and flips it for the age of AI. He's telling us to stop being passive consumers of technology and to become active creators, to use these incredibly powerful tools to fix things, to build a better world, and to serve that machine of loving grace.
In the end, everything we've talked about, it all comes back to this one simple question. Whether it's through our work, or our families, or our communities, what are we building? What are we leaving behind for the people who come after us?
So McCawley boils his entire philosophy down into these 4 actionable principles. Design with empathy, solve real problems on purpose, act with a deep sense of legacy for both your ancestors and your descendants, and use technology as an amplifier for human good. This is his blueprint, not just for his own life, but really for anyone who wants to build a life of meaning. And that brings us right back to where we started, with that long, long view into the future. The people of the year 2165, they're not here yet, but they will be, and they're going to inherit the world that we are building for them right now with every single choice we make. Rick McCawley's life is proof that you can live for that future. So the final question isn't really for him, it's for us. What do we choose?